Hey, I'm Ryder Haske, and this is the People's TV Podcast.
With all due respect, I used to own 100% of nothing. And I'm living the American dream. I mean, I'm a Muslim, first-generation American who is now pitching a vegan pork rind on Shark Tank. Like, if that's not the American dream, I don't know what is, you know?
I like it.
That's my friend Samy Kobrosly. Samy is the founder of Snacklands, a company that made the first ever vegan pork rind snack. Maybe it sounds a little strange, but let me tell you, they are delicious. Me and Samy go way back. We actually met over a decade ago when the two of us were paired up to produce a TV segment about upcoming restaurants in DC. The show was called The Scene with Samy K. And in addition to it being the beginning of my career in media, it also fueled Samy's drive to start experimenting with recipes and eventually create Snacklands. So in this episode, Samy and I talk about the origin story of Snacklands, his Shark Tank appearance that won over Mark Cuban, and Samy's refreshing take on marketing for startup food brands. Thanks for tuning in. So when was the last time you're on a mic?
Oh my gosh, it has. I mean, here's the thing. I'm just more excited about the headphones. Like we were talking. Like I haven't felt these headphones in so long since my radio days, and now I'm just always covered in like mushrooms and crap all day long. So it's much different than my radio days. But yeah, man, it's fun to be in front of a microphone. I feel like I still got it. I'm like, listen to my voice. I go, all right. Good distance from the microphone.
You definitely still got it.
Good distance.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And actually, I would love to like go down memory lane a bit and start out there, just hearing about the beginning of your career. Yeah. How did things start for you?
Oh man, are we talking about back when I first met you? Because people may not know this, but Ryder and I go way, way, way back. So Initially, I was in school, like most other people that come out to DC for a college, whatever. And I got in this awesome internship to work at Hot 99.5, which is like the local top 40 pop station in town. Interned there. Randomly, they fired everybody one day. They kept me around, brought in a new morning guy. That guy was like, hey, man, you're really cheap. You're pretty good. Do you want to work for me? And I was like, cool, I'll come work for you. And then I started doing that. And then we connected because obviously, this is back before the social media days, right?
Yeah,
This is how old we are. So like radio was like hot shit. Like radio was like it. And so the local TV stations would always have radio people come and do like local restaurant stuff, local community things, local culture things like for the TV station. And then that's how we connected when we end up working for, it was WUSA 9.
Yep.
In the DC area. So,
Metro Mix.
Yeah, man, Metro Mix. It was good. Back in the Ryder and I, we were just I would think I was like maybe 21. Maybe we were both 21, like barely 21. And it was a wild ride. But yeah, I did that for the longest time. And I think really it was us doing that Metro Mix stuff. Like I met a bunch of chefs. I met a bunch of cooking people. And having that radio morning job where I was just up so early and I just had all day to do nothing, that I just started hanging out with these restaurant people, like hanging out with these chefs. I was like, yo, you don't have to be at work till 3. I'm chilling for lunch. Let's hang out. And then I would go to their restaurants and I would start to stage and like kind of slowly waded my way into the restaurant industry. And the next thing you know, fast forward and I'm working radio jobs, in the morning and then like working overnight at a bakery, and I think it just kind of like worked into that. And I think during that whole process, I kind of realized like, okay, obviously working in radio and TV, it's everyone's dream job, especially when you're 20 years old.
Yeah.
Like you're getting paid to go to concerts. You're like getting paid to meet people, to go eat great food, to go to restaurant openings. Like it's a great gig. Like when you're 20, like I was raised in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So to come to DC and to be able to like just be thrown into that crazy like big city life was mind blowing to me. But I think deep down, like I realized like I was doing this job because it was kind of what everyone around me assumed would be the best job and what I assumed was the best job you could get. But I really liked the food, and I was working these horrible hours at bakeries, working these horrendous hours at restaurants just because I loved to be there and I really wanted to be there and I really wanted to learn. And I think, inevitably I probably would have transitioned into food, but, we lucked out. And I was just messing around one day at a bar and a buddy of mine was like, hey, man, you make a lot of weird stuff. Have you ever thought about making a vegan pork rind? And I was like, dude, weird thing. I was actually making flavored pork rinds like a few months ago. I'm pretty sure I could do this. Just get rid of the pork. Like the pork wasn't the most important part. Like I could do this. Went back to the drawing board a few months later. It was just like this aha moment. I was in the basement of a bar in DC before they even opened. They had their fryer on. I just like sketchily dropped some product into the fryer and it just had puffed up into this beautiful Snacklin. you know? And I was just like, oh, and I start freaking out, yelling, like everyone runs downstairs because they all thought like I lit something on fire, but really it was because I'd made it puff. And I was like, dude, you gotta watch this again. We dropped some more and they just, boom, they puffed up again. People were just like, whoa, these are great. And so, yeah, I think that, you know, it all kind of worked out because I would have never gotten that opportunity to like be allowed just to hang out at a restaurant during the middle of the day if it wasn't for my prior, like, you know, local like media career, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that kind of gave me the opportunity so that way when I had something like a Snackland that popped off, I started to sell them. And sooner or later, it just got to a point that I was like, wow, Snacklands takes up way more time of my day than this other, you know, than my media job does. Like, why don't I just do this whole Snacklands thing full time? And, you know, now fast forward, like 5 years from there, and here we are now, just still making a bunch of snacks, man. So making a bunch of snacks, and I get to talk to people like once every 3 months like you. So get to bust out my radio chops every once in a while.
Nice. That's a amazing founder story. And I just have so many fond memories of us like cruising through the DC nightlife and meeting all these chefs. I remember some in particular, like on H Street, we got to, I think was it the place where you play mini golf?
Oh my gosh, yeah, the H Street Country Club.
H Street Country Club. I remember
Shout
that
out
episode.
H Street Country Club.
Yeah, and that was like, I felt like when I really started to get a sense that you were like a serious foodie. And we were really spending a lot of time with the chef and like really talking about the guacamole.
Like really into the guacamole at the time. I mean, people don't, like back then, like that whole foodie culture wasn't really around. You know what I mean? Like you had like, you had Tom Sietzma for the Washington Post. You had someone for like, you know, the city paper. And other than that, like there was no like food bloggers. There wasn't these Instagram food influencers, you know, that just go out and all they do is they eat at DC restaurants and they just show cheese pulls all day long. Like that didn't exist back then. And so I think that really, you know, knock on the young people at Metro Mix, because it definitely wasn't the old people at CBS who believed this. It was like the young people at Metro Mix are like, hey, we think that there's a huge audience of people that just want to know about food. Like, doesn't have to be these super nice but like there's an audience there. And I think we kind of, you know, we didn't kick it off, but I think we were definitely part of that first like nook of people that were like, no, just showing a bar, showing the food and showing someone eating the food is actually very entertaining. And now if you look at it, that's like literally half of social media now. Totally. What we started doing back in the day. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I also feel like it was coming at a time when the food scene in DC was really kicking off too. Like all these restaurants were going, a lot of them were like just opening up, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember you kind of had the pulse on what was going on, like what was getting cool and, you know, tracking along with the chefs and the whole culture of that.
I mean, that time period, I mean, we're talking like, you know, mid 2000s, right?
It was like 2007,
yeah,
2008.
Like, right?
Yeah.
So like that time period, like DC honestly went from like this stuffy old, you had like the Citronelles, Michelle Richard, like, you know, you were going to Prime Steakhouse, you were going to, you know, Old Ebbitt's, like still classics, right? Love their places. But that was like a more conservative kind of the old guard, you know, when it was here's steak and potatoes.
Right.
Love it. You know what I mean? Like, and then all of a sudden you had these new places that were popping up that were, you know, and I think, you know, we really got to give like Jose Andres, right? Like Haleo, right? Like, and even though it was in Bethesda, like that Haleo, like blew everyone's mind when that first opened up. And then from there, you had all these other one-offs popping up. I remember like, you know, spots on U Street, like when U Street first started going, like Policy, the nightclub, like restaurant there, doing little like, that was the first place ever in DC you could go like to a club music at like 3 PM, but yet get these beautiful small plates of international cuisine. It made you feel like DC was a government town for the longest time. And for the first time in my life, like during that time period, like I felt like DC was like a big city, you know, like I felt like I was in some metropolitan, like I might as well have been like in Tokyo or Paris, right? Like I felt that DC was that. And I feel like it's only gotten better. Like now, I mean, I find it so hard to find people that work in politics now.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, that's everybody you met worked in politics or worked for the government. Now you have so many creatives. I mean, like, not just you guys, but I mean, people in the food industry, people in the fashion industry, you know, and I think DC has really had its glow up, you know, over the past, 15 years. And it was pretty cool to look back as you and I were part of, we're there at the beginning, just like, whoa, we have no idea what's going on, but this is pretty sweet, guys.
Yeah, another episode that sticks out to me is a Public Bar. You remember that one?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Sports bar?
Yeah, it was like a sports club. And
Wow.
it's still there too.
Yeah.
Like it's still rocking. But I mean, that was revolutionary at the time. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh wait, it's just chicken wings and beer, but yet they have a DJ and
Yeah.
yet there's people dancing and wow, it's multiple floors. I mean,
Yeah.
that was cool. Like all those places, I mean, really changed how like DC nightlife was. And I think, and honestly, had they not opened, if you didn't have like, the Publix or like, the place like that opened up and really changed this DC nightlife, like
Yeah.
you wouldn't like, there'd be no Snacklands. Like, let's be honest. Like Snacklands got an opportunity in the city because the city was like, you know what? Vegan pork rind made by a Muslim. Shit makes sense to us. We're going to support the hell out of you. Oh, wow. And it's like really simple ingredients, 90 calories for the whole bag. You know, we love this. Like that would never have happened, like no offense, like in my hometown of Cedar Rapids, Iowa,
Yeah.
this would have never have happened, and I think in the old DC that have been like, what are you trying to create? That sounds like it's more West Coast or, you should go to New York for that,
Yeah, yeah.
like I didn't have to, because by the time that I had started, Snacklands, you had companies like Union Kitchen, right? You had,
Right.
that were doing accelerating. They were like doing an accelerator program. They were building kitchens, distribution, helping small brands grow. You already had huge companies like Honest Tea. People forget like, yo, dude, that's from Bethesda. Like that's from right here, like Kava. Like that's a huge thing. You know what I mean? And even then, like
Yeah.
Taylor Gourmet, the And Pizzas, like, those
Sweet
restaurants, like,
Green.
yeah, Sweet Green, like
Yeah.
all of those guys like really made this like DC was this like food hub, and it made it like so much easier for me when all of a sudden I come in there, they go, you know what? That makes sense. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out of DC. Of course there would be, this product. Of course that would come out of here. And like, it's been awesome because we look now and I mean, damn, there's like hundreds of awesome food companies that are now coming out of DC that are now coming out of like here. And like, you want to go to like the USDA farmers market, go to any of these farmers markets in and around DC, go find those local small brands, go to like any of the breweries when they have their local vendor pop-ups. I guarantee you'll eat 5 things there that within the next 2 or 3 years will be on every grocery store in your neighborhood. Like they'll be on every grocery store itself because like DC is popping, and I think that, we were lucky to kind of, be part of that wave and be part of that, that second, influx of, of really cool, food products that were coming out of this area.
Yeah, and just unique flavors. You remember the Wale episode?
Oh my gosh, yeah, we went to Ooze and Oz,
Ooze
man.
and Oz.
Ooze and Oz, man. God, that place is still so awesome. Best mac and cheese, by the way.
Yeah.
Deal with the line, guys. I don't care. Just deal with it. Mac and cheese is the best,
Yeah, I know. Seen new ones like Call Your Mother.
Yep.
Big
Yep.
in
There's
that
a bunch
spot.
of good spots now. I mean, Call
Yeah.
Your Mother Deli, I think what they're doing is great. Like those are the same people as Timber.
Mm-hmm.
When Timber opened up, that was life changing for me because I had never, I had not had a pizza that well executed in DC, in my opinion, like if that style, like that super hot oven, like, and I remember the first time I called them, my friends were like, yo, you got to try this new pizza place. They were doing a pop-up and they now have a store. Like they were doing like food truck. Now they have like a store. You got to go check it out. And I was like, okay, cool. Called them up because like they were going to close soon, like in 30 minutes. Didn't want to, hey guys, I was thinking of getting a pizza. They're like, well, how long are you going to be? It was like 15 minutes. They go, pizzas take like a minute. Just call us when you get here. And I hung up and I just knew. I knew at that moment this was going to be the best effing pizza I've ever had in the DC area. And I mean, I'm obsessed. And I think, and I think like they had to do something like that was an authentic style Neapolitan, like high heat oven, maybe there's slight variations, obviously, because if you eat the flavors there, that's not classic at all. You know what I mean? But they had to step outside there. I think there's so many good spots that do that. I mean, somewhere like you want to talk more DC, like Service Bar. I think they revolutionized how bars in general are run. Like you can go there and get, a cheap drink that's a beautiful cocktail. Like, you get a mint and julep for like $7 or something like that, $8. You know what I mean?
Nice. I haven't.
Oh my
been
God. But
there.
it's
I have to check
because,
it out.
and then you watch them, you go, wow, because you guys have realized what's the most expensive part of this cocktail? The labor. Okay,
Right.
How can we make this labor more efficient? How can we make it more efficient to make that drink so that way the customer gets it faster, we can make it cheaper, and therefore we can make the drink more affordable to the customer? And I mean, they freaking nailed it, dude. Like, that's like one of the coolest spots. And I think having all those people that are, my age, my cohorts, people that I, knew from beforehand that I still know now, seeing how we've all grown, it's been like really beneficial. Like, DC is a spot that I can sit down with any of my buddies and be like, hey, man, I really need to figure out how to do this on the legal sense. Like, you've done it with your restaurants. How did you do this? And, like, there's someone my age. You know, I'm, like, 36, right? So, like, there's someone my age that can easily sit me down and tell me that same thing, which is awesome about DC.
What was the Tunisian place we went to?
Oh, my gosh. I forgot. But they're closed. They've been closed forever.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. R.I.P. Yeah. So I'm originally from Tunisia, but Tunisian food just doesn't exist here.
There was it I can't remember if it was like a food truck or if it was an actual.
It was an actual restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And they were there for a hot second. But here's the thing, and I'll like back this up. And anyone who's Tunisian who happens to be listening, like 100% will agree with me on this.
Yeah.
Tunisians are the worst, right? So like, because here's the thing, we would go to a Tunisian restaurant. And even though we know there's no Tunisian restaurant, right? I think other cultures, when they have like a restaurant of their home culture that opens up, they go, oh my God, we're just so happy this is here. We want to support them. Yeah. Tunisians go there. We go, well, my aunt makes it better. Well, this isn't as good as what my mom does back home. And then we like get judgy and shit. And so like I always find these Tunisian restaurants, like they pop up and they die. I'm like, well, yeah, because Tunisians, like no one makes it better than my aunt. And like that's just part of our culture. Right. And so it's just like, yeah, we're not going to go to a restaurant and be like, oh, this is better. Even though I'm not going to like, am I really going to fly to Africa for some leblebi? No. But, you know.
Leblebi.
Yeah, leblebi, yeah. That was that's like our hangover food. That's like what you eat when you're, you know, leaving the clubs at 4 a.m. You get some leblebi, fill yourself up with a bunch of chickpeas and bread.
I think that was the theme of that episode. And I have to say that I really respect it. Every time we worked together, you came having done not only your homework on the restaurant, but you had like researched the theme and the structure for the episode and how it was going to go down.
Well, thank you, man. I think I just had a lot more free time then now. I didn't have a 3-year-old back then. So, yeah, man, it was fun. It was cool. But I think, you know, I think if anything, you know, it really having any sort of media experience, having any sort of, you know, on camera or even like on mic experience in general, you need it as an entrepreneur. You know, because unfortunately, even though if you are the best cook ever, you still have to talk to an investor, right? You may be so successful that you can hire, you know, people to talk to your customers for you, that you can hire a marketing director, that you can hire a director of ops, but you still have to talk to somebody sooner or later. And when it comes down to it, like people want to talk to you, you know? And so even though I'm not the sales, our sales team will sit there and talk with like a new store and be talking to their buyer and blah, 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 back and forth. And really sometimes it just takes like, oh, well, hey, yeah, you know, Sammy's going to be in town. He wants to swing by the store and say what's up. And like, that's it. Right. Like, and it's so simple, but it's like, you cannot stop. And like, and I think also when you go, like when we were on Shark Tank, right? When Snacklands was on Shark Tank.
Tell me the story.
Same thing. I mean, it was one of those things, like at that point, I was not the center of the company anymore. Like I had already had, like, we had just hired a CEO, my ops guy, John, like him and I had been like 1 and 2 for years at the company already, you know? And so like, I assumed that they were going to put like, you know, Jeremy, our marketing guy, because he like looks really good, like, and he's much more eloquent in his speech. And John, because John knows business, I thought they were going to be on there. And the next thing you know, it's just going to be me on Shark Tank. And I was just like, oh crap, I guess I should have figured that. Like, I'm the founder. Like, okay, you know? And so luckily having that experience and having that understanding of just what to do, I mean, it helped a lot. And I tell people, you know, I talk to a bunch of brands that, hey, we have an audition with a producer of, you know, a big Sony show that you may know of. I was like, wink, wink, hint, hint. I got it. People forget it's still a TV show, you know, and TV is still entertaining. Right. You know, and so as much as you think it's about you raising money, it's actually not. I think it's more about you being entertaining for the cameras, being entertaining for the audience. And then if you happen to walk away with a deal, like, awesome.
Yeah. So what was your story there? Like, what? Just tell me about like.
So we had actually applied when we had first started the company, just because everyone applies for Shark Tank. That's like first thing, get your LLC. Second thing, apply for Shark Tank. Like that's what every entrepreneur does in the United States. Right. And so we had applied. Obviously, we were way too small. They were like, absolutely not. We like I think we sent a video to them, and then 2 years later, we got a call from one of their producers. Like very vague, stating like, hey, we're part of this show with entrepreneurs that raise money with different investors that Sony produces. So I was like, I wonder what that could be, you know? And I was like, cool. Like they're reaching back out. And they said because they'd seen us on a trend report, Whole Foods had like listed us as like one of the top trends of like 2018 or something, 29. God, it's been a long time. It was one of those trend years, like some year like that. And they had read that. We're like, hey, are you guys looking for this? We had just finished a round, but we were kind of looking for more strategic investors. And so this opportunity came up, and I was like, guys, I think this is great because we already have some really awesome like investors, you know, from other CPG companies. We're like, who else can we bring in from a different realm, you know, that can still offer a lot of value to the brand? And so we looked at that as just an opportunity for us to possibly get that. If anything, it was a way for me to practice my pitch.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just use it as like whether or not I got on Shark Tank, like I at least got to practice my pitch and get really good at my pitch. And, you know, after months, weeks, like all this just over and over, finally you get a call one day saying like, hey, you're coming to LA in 3 weeks. We need you here from this day to this day. And you go, okay, cool. And I just like showed up. Like I didn't really know what to expect. Didn't really know how it was going to go down. I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of people binge Shark Tank before they appear on it, or like they'd watched a bunch of episodes.
Yeah.
I had maybe watched like 5 episodes like in my life. Like I didn't watch that much. It was only because like I was at like a friend's house and their mom was watching it or some crap like that. Like, so I never really watched that much. And I think like I didn't really know what to expect. And so if you actually watch my episode, like I freeze and I mess up, like, yo, that was all real. Like I genuinely like fucked up. Like it was awesome. Like I got there, the lights hit me. I'm thinking, okay, I got this pitch down, walk in there, bada bing, bada boom, like here's my thing, like da 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 da. Oh no, because they've got to like set up for the shoot and everything.
Right.
So you go in there, they make you freeze. So it's the first time you're like staring at like Barbara Corcoran or Mr. Wonderful or like Mark Cuban for the first time.
Yeah.
And they make you freeze for like 2 minutes, man, while they're getting all the establishing shots and all like the big group shots. You're just standing there, and dude, that iced me so hard. Like they got me. Like they got me. And like it's funny because they were like, Samy, your pitch is great. They didn't bother me all week. I went to the studio like on a Monday, ran my pitch one time as a rehearsal, and they're like, all right, see ya. And I didn't no one talked to me until Friday, until I came in to actually do it. So I think they were even more flabbergasted that like I got iced so hard. But yeah, I fucked up pretty badly. It was pretty good.
So what was the relation? How did it end, and what happened afterwards?
Yeah, so luckily, I guess I was endearing enough that Mark Cuban thought he would invest in it. And so yeah, so Mark ended up becoming one of our business partners. He's actually still a business partner.
Amazing.
We email every week. It was Friday morning, so we emailed Mark, and he emailed me back this morning already. So it's pretty bizarre. I still get emails from him, and I go, whoa,
that's
okay,
amazing.
that's pretty awesome. Yeah. And then I kind of joke and be like, all right, I guess basketball season's over, so, you know, it's got time to email me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is that, how's that kind of changed the dynamic at the company with having such like a, I don't know, guru on the team where he's just known as sort of the business guy and like sage advice every time?
I think what we've managed to do pretty well at Snacklands, which anyone out there, like if you're starting a company, like try and emulate this, I think was the best thing we did, was that we all stay in our own damn lane, right? And so even all of our investors, like they go, hey, we know about the financial part. We know about X, Y, and Z. You guys know about puffed snacks. Like nobody knows better about snack than you guys do. Like no one knows the machinery like I do. And I think like just the fact they kind of let us do our own thing, and it's just, here's an update. Okay. Rarely ever does anyone have a request for somebody else. It's always, we have an opportunity. You know what I mean? So like none of my investors are ever really reaching out to me saying, hey, Samy, I want this. They're reaching out saying, hey, Samy, you're trying to do this.
Right.
We have this opportunity that we think may actually help with that, which I think is a way different mentality, where a lot of times it's like me, I'd be requesting something from my investor where I don't really do that. I like see that they're working with another brand. I go, hey, I see you're doing this with this other brand that you invested in. Here's this opportunity that I know that may be able to help them out as well. And I think like we've kind of made an opportunity based, like you want to share your experience and your knowledge with people around you versus me requesting it from other people. You know, and I think that just that mentality is good. I mean, we've never had like debates, no disputes. We've never had the board has never gone for a vote like you see in all these TV shows. Like we've never had anything like that, you know, and it seems pretty straightforward. I mean, we go through, we grow the company, we, you know, work on efficiencies. We do what we tell them we're going to do. We go back and we go, hey guys, we've done this in the time that we've told you. We need more money. here you go, and it seems to like work out. I mean, granted, it's a lot more complicated than that because I bet my CEOs listen to this right now being like, it is so stressful, which it is. But like, I think that we've made it as, least stressful as it can be, as like less stressful as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
So
I think the most excited I remember seeing you when we were filming the scene with Samy K was when we went to the beer gardens and we were in these massive vats of beer being brewed, and you were so into it.
Oh my gosh,
like,
I
love
love that. I love that. Here's the thing. I just love machines. I'm like a 4-year-old at heart. So like, I love big machines at my factories. Like, I install these big machines, and like people just know like, oh yeah, no, Sammy's gonna be all hands on deck for the next 2 weeks, and he's gonna sleep in the parking lot because I just love that shit. Like, we have a crane coming in to put like an AC unit on one of our facilities. I'm like there with popcorn outside, just hanging out all day. Like, I just like that. I think it's, and I think like that's what really got me. I think that's what I really learned. Like, yes, I liked food, but like, I don't plate anything. Like, I don't make beautiful food.
Yeah.
Like, I make delicious food, but like a bag of chips is not, you can't plate that and make that look beautiful. Like, but I can make something delicious. And I think like that's what I really got, was like I really understood the flavors. I really understood like the machinery and like the industrial aspect of like food manufacturing. That, that's what really got me going. But yeah, man, I do like myself some big old machines.
Yeah.
The process. Speaking of which, I don't know if you've been following the news. I was super enthralled about this yesterday, but 2 people fell into the Hershey's chocolate vat.
What?
No, the Mars chocolate vat in Pennsylvania yesterday.
Oh my
At the
God.
M&M plant. Oh my gosh, it was drama. I was like sitting there just like biting my nails, and they're like, "Oh, we're not gonna be able to pull them out from the top. We're gonna have to drill a hole in the side of the chocolate thing." And then I think people just got bored of the news. But yeah, it was quite enthralling. So
Also a local brand, Mars.
yeah.
I've been to their headquarters out in Virginia.
Yep. I mean, yeah.
They're
Nestle
global,
and
but-
Nestle also has like an Arlington, which I think like that helped a lot
Yeah.
too. Like going back to how DC has gotten awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I could literally be at an event, and here is the head of R&D for Nestle just walking around and be like,
Right.
"Oh, I buy these at my local farmer's market. I really like this," and you're just mind blown because you realize, oh my gosh, this person creates
Yeah.
billion-dollar brands. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, just the sort of, factory scale of manufacturing any sort of snack food or anything. Like, if you make one bag of chips, like you said, you throw a couple things in deep fryer, like you've got some Snacklins. But going from that to like hundreds or thousands of bags.
Oh my gosh,
I mean, talk about that transition from like, because I remember when you were giving them out in the Ziploc bags.
Oh hell yeah,
Those are amazing.
Those are the old school ones.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
actually showing people pictures of that yesterday.
Yeah.
because they were like, "How's the evolution?" I was like, "Let me show you."
Yeah.
If you guys are so worried about being perfect on shelf, let me show you the first ones, because these ones, they were just like crappy Ziploc bags with like a black and white label that like I printed on this printer I had that was broken, so it had streaks all over it. Like, I don't even know why people bought that and didn't think I was trying to poison everyone. Like, but yeah, so the transition, I mean, we made everything by hand from scratch. I mean, that's how it began. It was a small form kitchen experiment. And then as we grew, it was just, all right, well, how can I do this slightly more efficient? And so we always laugh, like our first big like machinery purchase, like we are industrializing this, was we were hand rolling these Snacklins out. That's what we did. We hand rolled everything. Then finally one day we got the genius idea to buy a little pasta roller that you can get like at, Bed Bath & Beyond for like $40. And we had one of those little hand crank rollers. So we were using that. And like, that was huge for us. Like, we went to like, wow, man, we can make like 3 times as many snacks with this little machine than we could by our hand. Like, that was it. Like, it was crazy, like this little tiny efficiency. And so I still have that original like pasta roller on my desk at the factory, just as like, people are like, what is that? I go, it's the original Snacklins machine, y'all. And now you go in there. I think that as we developed, I mean, part of it is figuring out what can you do yourself and then what can someone do for you, because unfortunately as an entrepreneur you don't have a limitless budget.
Right.
I'm not Mars, I'm not Nestle. Like, I don't have $1 billion to throw at R&D for some crap. Like, I don't. Yeah. So how am I going to spend my money wisely? Most of the time when you're starting a business, it's just you're trying to buy packaging and products just to sell more products. So you don't really have that much to invest in other things. So we started working on efficiencies and figuring out what can we do in house? And so for us, we knew like one of the big things is we knew we were taking mushrooms, right? These fresh, beautiful mushrooms from Pennsylvania, and we were roasting them along with the onions, and then we were pureeing it all ourselves, and that's what we were making as our base for our Snacklin, right? Well, all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, well, roasting mushrooms takes time. Let's talk to the people that are selling us the mushrooms. Do you guys sell a roasted mushroom? No, but if you order this much, we can for you. Okay.
There you go.
So then I knew in my head, all right, if I can get to this volume, I can now cut this much out of the product, which is, you know, that's going to help me out with like my labor costs, all that. And I have that efficiency there. And I think we just slowly have done that with every step of the process. I mean, what really inspired me was that stupid, like, what's his name? Who's the guy that plays Batman? The old Batman. Batman number 1. Not Batman number 2, I guess.
Batman number 2.
Michael Keaton or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played the Michael. He did
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, he did the McDonald's movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in that movie, I was enamored when they have that one scene where they're like, well, we put the pickles to the left of the mustard because the onion, you know what I mean? Like, and they reorganized that. And that's actually what we did with all of our facilities. Like when we were first hand making everything and we were like in these little tiny places, like literally not bigger than this room, you know? And we had to figure out a way like, okay, well, how can we efficiently get stuff down a line, get stuff here? And wait, everyone here is right-handed. Well, duh, let's reverse the line then. You know what I mean? Like, and it was stuff like that. And I think that helped us with the mindset. And so now we just look and like, all right, this person is grabbing, pulling, doing this. And they're that same motion over and over again. What can we do? What can we purchase? What can we create? What can we modify, you know, to help and, you know, accomplish that task? So therefore that person can now do much more snacks. And I think, you know, and part of that isn't, I think a lot of people get, you know, like this kind of going down a rabbit hole here for a second, but like a lot of people get freaked out about like, oh, well, fully automation and robotics and AI and and they're not going to have jobs anymore. Like no one's going to have jobs anymore. Well, I kind of look at it this way. I go, well, hold on. DC's expensive as hell. Yeah. Right? I still have to sell a bag of chips for cheap because we're Americans and we want a lot of food for cheap, right? So unfortunately, that's just the culture that, you know, we're selling to. Totally cool with that. Obviously, I have this body because I believe in it as well. So I'm not like hating, right? And so how can I make a bag of chips that's affordable, but yet pay people like a living wage? Well, I've got to figure out a way to make more chips with the same people, right? And that's what we've done, you know. And I don't even believe with the term livable wage. I just find it like almost offensive. But like, you know, if I can get that one person, and all of a sudden I can have for every hour I pay them, they can help me make, you know, 100 bags of chips versus 20, you know, with the old way we were doing it. Well, now all of a sudden if the company's making 5 times more money on, you know, then I can pay you X amount more. Plus we can do the health benefits. Plus we can do, you know, vacation. Like, and people don't realize like you've got to find a way to get that in there. And so part of that was us adding efficiencies. And I think, you know, our team, like we've had the same people working in that factory, like the same crew of 5 for like 4 years, you know. We've got other people that come in and out, a bunch of temp people, but I mean, that solid crew is there, I think, because they get it. They're like, hey, as we used to be here when it was all hand labor, and as stuff has gotten easier, our pays have gotten up, we've gotten more benefits, we get vacation now, and I think, like, you know, how can we work on that, and how can I kind of utilize automation and all of that? And that's kind of how the company, you know, that's how you grow from 1 bag to 100,000 bags in an hour, you know, is you got to figure out how can you do that? And part of that is not only taking care of your people, but understanding, you know, okay, here's how I can also utilize that machinery to help with the people at the same time.
So I think that, you know, a lot of what you're saying applies to lots of different companies, including our own. So I love all the learnings there. Another thing you mentioned earlier was talking about people staying in their lanes. And it's clear to me, you know, you hired a CEO. Like that's a pretty big move as a founder of a startup to like hire a separate CEO. You have these other investors. Sounds like you've built a great team around yourself. Is that what you would attribute some of these success to? Just like having all these different people doing exactly what they're good at?
Yeah, and I think, and just don't be selfish. Like, I started Snacklands. I started myself. You know what I mean? Like, I started with like a co-founder. We were there. We did this all ourselves, blah, blah, blah. The first, you know, year was me all hustling. Fuck that. Throw that shit out the window. Like, throw that shit out the window, because the fact is, even after that first year, Snacklands, I owned 100% of nothing. You know what I mean? Like, right. So once it started to become worth something, I have to look at people and I go, wow, okay, this is my dream. Like, this is my dream to have this company, to build it to a point, you know, to partner up, to, you know, to do something like that. So it's pretty selfish of me to think that all these other people should just like sacrifice their dreams and like put their dreams on hold for 4 or 5 years and work for me without getting anything in return. And that's how I always looked at it. And so, you know, we have an employee pool. Like
Nice.
everyone that, if I've mentioned their name in this interview, they have equity in the company, you know,
Right.
like everyone has equity. Like I may be the, you know, single largest shareholder, but trust me, I am
Right.
nowhere near the top. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like we've taken care of people. I think you got to take care of the people around you. And I think understanding that, like, if your people know that you'll mop the floors before them, they have no problem picking up a mop, you know?
Yeah.
But if you don't want to mop the floor, it's going to be really hard to convince someone else to mop.
Lead by example.
Yeah. And so I feel like, you know, like I don't mind doing the shitty jobs. Like I bitch about them, like everyone should, but like I will do them. You know what I mean? It's a call being like, hey, dude, we need you in Canada tomorrow. Fuck, dude, I'm supposed to be, all right, fine. Like, I'll get there. I'm just going to drive now because there's no flights that are going to get me there in time. Like, I'm just driving to Canada now, guys. Like, and it's fine. And it's fine. But I mean, you do it. And I think that leading by example and just understand, like, and I'm pretty open to know that, like, people are postponing their dreams, you know?
Yeah.
They have their own aspirations. Like, I want to do my own company. I want to do this one day, but they're not. They're working for Snacklands.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to be very aware of that and, like, how I'm pretty honored and, you know, I'm pretty lucky to have these people postpone, these very smart people. You know, like our CEO, fucking genius, marketing genius. Like all these people are so much smarter and have such a better pedigree than I do that like I'm just honored to be around them. And so, you know, I think understanding that, you know, and not being selfish, like is really what you got to do because when it comes down to it, like I had a buddy that told me this. He made a lot more money off his company than I probably will off Snacklands, which is probably why his quote, you know, is like this. But I still bring it down to me. He's like, what's the point of being your only friend with a yacht? He's like, then you got a boat, then you got to drive everyone, you know? And I was like, touche, dude. I don't think I'm in that boat where I got to have it, but like, I get what you mean here. Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
I appreciate that mentality.
Yeah. So like, you know, what's the point? Like, you don't want to be the only one. I was like, you're right.
So going from that, you know, a couple of bags you're handing out yourself to where the scale you're at now, what was the best sort of factor of driving that growth and expansion, and what now is like helping you get more distributors into more stores? Like what's really driving the growth of the company?
I think when we're talking that first like batch of stores, that was 100% because we were a vegan pork rind.
Yeah.
Right? Like no one had ever heard of that. We were the first one on the market like that.
Nice.
It was so weird. And the fact that we were a local product, like we immediately had like Yes Organic, like threw us on their shelves. You know what I mean? They were like immediate, here you go. Boom, we get this. You guys are here. And like we were crushing it there. And then from there, you know, like Whole Foods came a knocking, Mom's came a knocking. Like these like staples of, you know, where we live in the Mid-Atlantic, like those are staples for the natural chains. Like they came a knocking because we were local and we had such a unique product. Now, fast forward to now, and I think that that's how we got into our first maybe 100 stores. But the fact is people were not buying it because it was a vegan pork rind, right? And that took us like stepping back and being like, okay, I don't get this. There's no way there's this many people buying a vegan pork rind. Like, no way. Why? What's really happening here? And you realize by talking to the customers, the people that are buying the product, like, oh, we like it because it's like 6 ingredients on the back. It's so simple. And it's really low in calories. Like that whole bag is 90 calories. Like, duh, that's why we're buying it. And we go, okay. So then we kind of had to reevaluate as we started to grow. Obviously, we still had this packaging for a while, you know, cracklins without the pork, and then it was like a puff chip for a while. We kind of like have transitioned. But, you know, I think as we've grown, we've realized, okay, here is how we got that wow factor, right? Because you really have to differentiate yourself. Like, I talk with brands all the time. They go, but I have these cookies. And I go, dude, you may think that you have the best cookie, but saying I have the most delicious cookie is not going to get you on a store shelf. And that's not going to get a customer to buy you. Like, people did something different, you know? Like, an Oreo, right? Or even a Hydrox or whatever they call them back, like the old original ones. Like, that was a wafer cookie with cream in the middle that was shelf stable. Like, like that was the first time that you could have like a sandwich cookie with cream, but it didn't go bad after a couple of days. You don't have to eat them fresh that day. You could keep them there for a month. Like, that's what was so separate and so different about that. You know what I mean? I think people don't think that much. Like, what makes you different? Like, we were a vegan pork rind. Like, no one had a vegan pork rind. And all we could do is get ourselves in a little tiny shelf space, you know, next to like the chickpea bites and all the
Right.
beef jerky and shit, right? So like we had to fight for that, and then from there we had to realize, okay, well that's not going to get you into 1,000 stores. That's not going to get you into 3,000 stores. Like, what's next? What do people like? Why are people buying it? You know,
Right.
and really understand your consumer, and then really just once you understand your consumer, you understand your customer, like focus in on them, make things they want. You know, understand what they do. You know, we focus on the eating experience a lot at Snacklands. That's kind of what I do, and so when we released like a salt and vinegar flavor, you know, I have friends that love salt and vinegar chips, and they like it because it literally there's so much diacetate, right, that it cuts them. It feels like it's cutting the top of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
That's what they like. But then I looked at our customer and I go, wait, but our customer though, they like more mild flavors, but yet they love, you know, when we ask them what kind of vinegar they like, they go, oh, well, we love a vinaigrette salad. We love, you know, I love French fries, which is a little dash of, you know, fresh malt vinegar on there.
Yeah.
And then we start to realize like, okay, well, because that vinegar flavor is much more mild. It's not that bright, super acidic fake diacetate that you get from like a salt and vinegar chip. And so we went there and we actually made a more mild salt and vinegar chip by using like real vinegar and doing all these different things that when we tested them out with people who ate salt and vinegar chips, who by the way was not our audience, not our customer,
Right.
they were like, these are way too weak. I would never buy these. But our customers though were like, oh my God. I have never had a salt and vinegar chip that didn't, you know, hurt my mouth after 3 chips, like that I could actually finish the whole bag with. Like, I love this. Like, and so understanding your customer and then like really like trying to hone in on their eating experience and like what their full experience is, you know, not just what the packaging not looks like, not just what social media says, but like, how does that crunch feel? You know, how does that crunch feel? What's the aftertaste 30 minutes later, right? What's that initial day? Like, there's so many aspects to eating that people just don't think about that I think that, you know, I think at Snacklands we do really well of just like trying to step in there, you know, and not really doing me search, but like doing research, you know, not just what we think, but like, all right, you guys tell us, what do you guys think? Okay, here's how we can extrapolate that.
So the nacho flavor, I think that has to be my
Solid.
favorite. I mean, first of all, because I'm vegan. I've been vegan for 10 years now, which is crazy. So, you know, to your point about being novel, I was singing your praises back then because it really was like one of the few types of those sorts of chips you could get, you know, across the board. And so then now seeing with the nacho flavor, that cheese flavor is so good for, you know, so appealing to vegans because we don't get it very often. But I love that.
And part of that was like, okay, understanding, like, I ate so much of the vegan alternatives and like, it honestly, like, I actually was very angry at my vegan friends for a while. So I was like, how dare you call this cheese? Like, did you not have anyone who ate cheese even try this before you did? Or do you just like that it melted? You know what I mean? Like, and so that was something that I found like very big. And so like, once you started to find some of these products, like Miyokos, like, yo, they got it. You know what I mean? When I first had those dairy-free like cheese alternatives they were making, like, they got it because that was someone who ate cheese and then said, oh, wait, we're missing this. And so when we went at it, like, we didn't just say we want a cheesy flavor chip. Like, how do we make that full nacho, you know? And like, so like we were adding tomato in there. We were adding different things to try to make it. And then on top of that, like, what's the cleanest way that we can give you that natural cheesy flavor, which everyone knows about nutritional yeast, right?
Yeah.
But people don't know that not all the nutritional yeast is the same. I mean, like, how they process it, how they make it, it'll all say nutritional yeast, but the flavors are vastly different.
That's very true.
Vastly different. And so we actually spent time sourcing a specific type of nutritional yeast specifically for this because the flavor compound, like, naturally wanted, it's like, you know, it's a lot more than just like, went and bought some Bragg's nutritional yeast at Safeway, sprinkled that shit with some chili powder, and we called it nacho. Like, but I mean, like, we work on that a lot. And I think, like, I mean, nacho took us 9 months.
Wow.
Like,
of
9 months of me going back and forth. I mean, like, salt and vinegar was like 6. I mean, churro, when we released churro, I had thought that and created that flavor like 2.5 years prior to its release.
Wow.
And then everyone and their mom released the churro one. I was like, can we finally release ours, guys?
Yeah, you mentioned Miyoko. That butter they make, the vegan butter, is like by far the best on the market right now. So yeah, to your point, you have to live that experience a little bit.
I mean, I'm a Muslim. I ate a pork rind. Like, I'll admit it. Like, I wasn't gonna create a fake pork rind without like knowing, like, is this texture on? I remember getting, like, the flavor was fine for months. And it was like a crunchy chip, but it was like a chip. It was more of a cracker.
Right.
And I was like, no, where's that airiness? Like,
Yeah.
I've never had this airiness in any sort of product ever growing up, but it comes exclusively from pork rinds,
Yeah,
right?
that's very strange.
And so I was like, how can I recreate those air pockets and that airiness?
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's what we did. Like, that's what I really focused on, was just how do I create that texture? Once I got that texture, it was easy to like,
yeah.
a little bit more salt, a little bit more of this, you know? Like,
Right. So that's the secret sauce of like, or like the special touch you guys are adding is that kind of expansion inside. It's very light and airy. And
I just think that compared to all, you know, puff products or chip products
Yeah.
out there, first off, we're the only ones that use not the only ones. Every potato chip uses fresh vegetables, just so we know this, right? No veggie puffs or veggie straws do.
right.
Like, they all use dehydrated vegetables. So outside of potato chips, Snacklands is the only like chip you'll find in the snack aisle that actually uses like fresh inputs.
Yeah.
You know, so like no one else does that. So that's kind of like our thing that we kind of keep in our back pocket, that I don't think the average consumer has no idea
Yeah.
that a veggie straw is like dehydrated carrots and dehydrated peas. Like, they don't know that, and
Yeah.
that's fine. Like, it's cool.
And how did you discover Yucca? Because that's like not very mainstream.
Oh my gosh, that's the sketchiest story of all time. So I was looking just for starches. Obviously, I was looking for anything I could do that would kind of
Yeah.
help with, you know, expansion. So I was like trying corn, I was trying this, and I was like milling some stuff myself and doing all these things. And then finally, like, I found like Yucca harina, like, you know, harina de yucca, right? But it said Yucca harina on the package, like harina de yucca underneath, like the explanation. I was like, okay. I bought it, and like it puffed. And I was like, holy crap, this is the special sauce. And then I found another thing that had the same ingredients, but it was like a different brand name. Tried that, and it didn't work. So I was like, what the hell? So I would literally go. There was two like Latino like mercados like in Mount Pleasant, right?
Yeah,
And I would go on Tuesday to one and on Thursday to the other, and they would just order a case of the Yucca de Harina, like that actual brand for me.
So you're buying it from a bodega.
Oh, I was buying it from the bodega every Tuesday I went to this one, every Thursday I went to the other one. I would just walk in, and they would get like the case on like Friday, open it up, and so maybe they'd sell one box.
Yeah.
And then it would just be me carrying out the rest of the box every week. And I was cleared out that place until finally they were like, hey, we can order it for you specially, but like, because like you keep on taking it, like our customers get pissed. Like, they can't find it. And I was like, well, you guys are the only place that sells this. They go, yeah, we order from here, but here. We found this distributor's number. Talk to them. The distributor's like, no.
Yeah.
I only sell to stores. I can't just sell you that one item by itself. Because also I wasn't buying like,
Right.
I was like, oh, could I just buy like 10 cases at a time?
Right.
I wasn't buying like pallets. Like now
Right, you're, like, in between.
Now I buy like
Yeah.
a shipping container full of Yucca at a time, right? Versus like when I was just like, can I get like a box of this, like, you know,
Yeah.
12 packages of it?
Yeah.
So we finally like were digging. I found a random phone number that I called. Someone answered, and then I said that I owed them money. And where can I send the checks to? Because I was just trying to like, get a hold of like
catfishing.
I was trying to catfish them. I was trying to figure out like where the hell are these people? Because every time I call and try to order directly, like no, we don't do direct. We don't do direct. Like we only do like. I was like, oh, what the hell? So I finally like, oh, I owe you guys money. Where can I come? Found this address in Jamaica, Queens. Right, drove to Jamaica, Queens with my buddies. We hung outside. I finally see someone. I had the box. Like, yo, like where is this? The, like guy brings me up there. I meet this lady named Sandra, who's like, this is like. What? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hold on. So yeah, we get this imported from Colombia, and then we package it here, like in this little facility. Like they literally just dumping big bags and put into smaller bags.
Yeah.
For this, like for that brand, and that's what they sell here in the United States. Like
Right.
we're just like their middleman.
Yeah. They just slap a label on
Slap
it.
a label,
Yeah.
and that's it. And so like we convinced them just to like, if I drove up like every few weeks, could they just like fill my car up with like 500 pounds of Yucca? And so I would go up there every 2 weeks, and like, I mean, I have like a Fiat, right?
Yeah.
So it's like this tiny.
I remember you had a smart car.
Yeah, I've always had tiny cars, right? So this like little tiny Fiat, I'm going up there, putting in like 10 bags, like 10, 50-pound bags of just like white powder, right? Boom, there's fucking white dust all over my like my windshield, all over the inside of my car. And I had to drive back from New York like every few weeks. So I was just like waiting for the cops to pull me over.
Car full of Yucca.
I was
powder.
like, oh, it's Yucca,
Yeah,
I swear,
yeah.
officer. But you know what? In the meantime, I'm just going to step out here and wait because I know you don't believe me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like how we sketchily did that for like a year and a half.
Wow.
Until finally we had gotten a hold of like. Then we got up to like the next level,
Right.
and then I got a hold of like the farm. And the farm connected us with like their people that were actually doing that, and I was like, okay.
It's interesting, those kind of like plateaus where like first you're the bodega guy
Yeah,
who is sort of like
dude, I'm still notorious.
pariah.
I still go into that
Yeah.
bodega to this day, and they go, dude, we still have the Yucca harina for you, man. You haven't been back in a while. And I just kind of laugh. Like there was like we had like there's a bunch of like the restaurant distributors who like distribute vegetables and stuff to like the restaurants. Back when we were working in DC, before we had our factory, once we opened up the factory, we became a lot more like a little bit more like leveled in our approach, because now we can get like truckloads of this and multiple pallets of this at a time. We're like back when we were working at Union Kitchen, I was like, I need 400 pounds of mushrooms.
Yeah.
That's not enough for a pallet, but like, where do I get that? And so we would just like show up to these restaurant like supply, and they would just know. We walk in, they go, oh shit, what are you guys gonna clear us out of today? And we would just like go in there and buy. I was like, I want all your mushrooms, every single mushroom you have. Call your clients right now and tell them, are you guys picking up mushrooms today? Because you're selling all of them now. So if they want them, you're gonna put them to the side now for them. And they're like, oh man, okay. But yeah, it's happened a few times, and it does feel cool. Like, if you've never been able to walk into a store and be like, "Do you guys have this?" I'll take all of it.
All of it.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I'm not
That's
gonna lie.
baller.
Like, it feels
That's
pretty
baller.
good. Yeah.
Speaking of mushrooms, I was just learning a lot about truffle recently on another podcast, and damn, that would be cool. I know they're expensive, but
well, fun fact, because truffles are like you get Italian, French ones. Those are the expensive ones.
Black truffle.
You can get some, and like there are some Australian ones, but actually Rixieville, Virginia. Fun fact, folks. No one knows about this, but there is a family there that has all this property, and for like I think like 30 years or some crap, they have been planting the exact right type of tree and actually like infecting them with the spores. So they actually have truffles on their grounds in Virginia, and they have a dog that goes out there and actually gets them. And so, I just probably ruined my connect here, but yeah,
I don't think we're big enough to ruin it.
No. But if you go out there, I'm telling you. But if you go out there, that's awesome. Like during the season, you can go out there and you can just be like, "What'd you guys pick this weekend?"
Nice.
And they'll sell you like some beautiful truffles, man.
Yeah.
They so beautifully fragrant, like really, really good. But yeah, truffles are great. I mean, like. Fungus in general is such a it's such like a it's great because we talk to people like, oh yeah, we use vegetables, and no. Once we start talking to like food scientists, they go, you only use onions, everything else is a fungus. And I'm like, you're right, mushrooms, got it. Because like mushrooms have such a new thing. I think like not only did we hit that kind of trend of being like a meat alternative when people wanted those, mushrooms became really hot like the year after, and like we were using fresh mushrooms, and then like we've kind of like been lucky enough to kind of fall into these trends, or at least have our product fall into the trends of the times we've managed to kind of like slowly grow year by year by year, without having to just be a total trend blowout, selling a bunch of stuff in a year and then no one cares about you the next.
Honestly, just to relate it to what I've been doing is it's similar to how you make a documentary. It's like every like threshold you cross in terms of making the film, it's like a small miracle, and it's that combination of sort of like external forces and your own tenacity and all the sort of sort of symphony of things happening at the same time for it to actually happen.
I'm assuming you go in there with the mentality that everything is going to get fucked today. Yeah. So, like, as long as I know that going into today, like, dude, if I get 50% done, that's a pretty solid day. Because, like, it's Parks and Rec, where it's like Andy Dwyer goes like, oh, the show must go wrong. Like, that's how I feel. Like, that's how I feel every day. Because, like, we were talking earlier, I was like, dude, I got a call say that all these coupons aren't working in Portland. I'm like, what am I going to do about that? I'm in D.C. and I got an interview to go to in a couple hours. Like, all right, we'll figure it out. Like, not even worried. Like, there's always crap that shows up. There's always things that go wrong. And I think that, the people that really make it are the ones that, have that mentality. Like,
dogged determination.
Yeah, you're just going to do it. Like, okay, fine. It's broken now. That's cool. But it's never going to get fixed if you don't do anything. But if I can sit here and just focus. And I mean, we have had machines that have broken, and it has taken us like a week of just 8 hours a day, blood, sweat, and tears, trying to figure out what's wrong, fixing this, repairing this, like.
Meanwhile, you're using the hand roller in the
Yeah,
background.
I'm literally in the background, like using a hand roller. Just the teams are yelling at me, like. But yeah, no, I mean it is. I think like that. It's not even like I think it is determination, but I think it's just knowing like. I don't even think I'm that determined of a person. I just think that I know shit's gonna go bad, and so it doesn't deter me,
Right.
when it happens.
Right.
I kind of expect that, like,
Yeah. Yeah. So it's all about, like lowering your expectations and then being happily surprised when things go well, but not upset when they don't.
Yep. I mean, meet up with my friends. They go, dude, you're like covered like in Yucca right now. I go, yeah, I work at a factory. Like, I don't know. Like I didn't leave today assuming I was going to meet with my friends looking great. Like, I went to a factory. So I had set my expectations as looking like shit when I met up with you guys. So the fact that it's only Yucca on me and I don't have like a ripped shirt right now, I feel pretty good about that, to be honest.
So what is that? So obviously you're working at the factory. That's super cool. I would love to visit sometime. What does that day-to-day look like? I mean, imagine it's some variety, but
yeah, so
how do you spend your time?
My day-to-day, I mainly do product development now for Snacklands. So my day-to-day is actually kind of weird. I don't really have a day-to-day per se, outside of just like, assisting. I assist our sales teams, always like helping them with samples, always, anything like that. But really, I have these long projects. Yeah. So it's, hey, we're going to release this flavor. All right, Sammy, go through that development. And so that development, like we're releasing like, if we're working on a new flavor right now, right? I will bring 30 different variations of whatever I believe that they're saying is to me. So if they say they want cheesy, like here's 30 different varieties of cheese, narrow it down, and then I'll take those, adjust them, make the adjustments that I think are necessary, come back, we narrow it down again, and then we take that out to the consumers. Plus then I'll have marketing, then I'll tell them, all right, let's figure out these aspects, maybe these like key terms that we're using for like the flavor, and we'll see what the audience, kind of do some market research, see what the audience likes, or what the audience, would prefer.
You get people in for a flavor test, or
we will, but I mean, a lot of times they're not really flavor tests as much. Yes, there are like blind tests where just like have these four. What do you think the flavors are? Like rank them. Yeah. What do you think the flavors are? Give me positives and negatives, and then what you would name it if you could. Like you kind of find random ways because I think a lot of times like we had a soy ginger to start off with. Yeah. And then it became a miso ginger. Mm-hmm. And now it's a teriyaki. Ah, okay. And literally outside of like getting rid of the allergen, like we got rid of soy, which is the allergen thing that we got rid of. Yeah. But the flavor is still 100% the same. Like that flavor, if I could find a bag of soy ginger from like 5-6 years ago and I gave it to you next to teriyaki, they would taste the exact same. Okay. And we were doing this research. We go, well, why are we calling it like soy ginger? Okay. Right. People are afraid of the word soy. Right. So let's put the word miso in there. Well, people don't know what miso is. And we go, fine, screw this. We start giving everyone they go, what does this taste like to you? Ooh, it tastes like one of those wonton things, like a teriyaki chip. We go, there it is. Yo, we're either going to call them wonton crisps or teriyaki chips. Like, obviously, that's what they need to be called. And I think that was kind of us, like, throwing that me search out, what we thought, and, like, what does the customer say? So, like, my projects are long. So, like, I'll be developing flavors for, 6 to 9 months. At that same time, I'll be, working on efficiency with, I'm like automating a part of our line or, ordering new machinery for this. I, of course, any future developments, I kind of keep testing those in the background. So that way when they go, hey, what's next? We at least have some solid plans to go through. But I don't, I have a lot of forward-thinking jobs that I feel like I work on a lot on that, I was like, oh, yeah, I've been working on that for 3 years now. Finally done. I guess I don't need to release anything with nacho anymore. Nice. So, if I remember correctly, you can handle some spice. Oh, I eat really spicy stuff. It's brutal. It is brutal. So is there plans for a spicy Snacklin? Yeah, there's one. There definitely is one. It's been rough on everyone's digestive system. So. Oh, I see. Yeah. No, it's actually like, so here, I like spice, but I feel like spice is also one of the things like that we've been trying to break down a lot. Like, like what is spicy to me? Like with my North African heritage, like we eat harissa, like we eat a lot of spicy food, but that spice is way different than like a jalapeno, right? Right. And so if you give me a jalapeno, like I will hiccup and like need water and stuff. And then some people are like, oh my God, you're having an allergic reaction. But give me like a cayenne, which is way hotter than that. Give me some ghost peppers. Give me some, Thai chilies. I'll rock that. No problem. but a jalapeno makes it so there's different variations. Like a jalapeno has more of a green flavor to it. So like understanding like when people say I want spicy, well, what? Because like American style like Crystal hot sauce or Tabasco hot sauce is like vinegar based cayenne versus like a fermented, Thai chili, which is like a sriracha, which is different than like there's so much stuff out there. You know what I mean? I think finding that out. I think that's kind of what I enjoy in my job is so when someone goes, ooh, I would like, something creamy. All right, well, what is creamy to you on a chip? Like, is that ranch?
Right.
Is that, like, and like sometimes people think like dill pickle reminds them of cream. It's like, oh yeah, because I always have like, this dip. And it's like, all right, like, so is it the mindset that's causing that? Like, what is it? So I find it,
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. One of my favorite go-tos is those Blue Diamond almonds with the wasabi flavor.
Oh yeah.
Those are amazing. But they don't actually taste like wasabi.
No, they don't.
They just taste like their own thing.
There's like we always joked like I love Cheez-Its and I love Goldfish, right?
Yeah.
But then when you eat that, like it's not until you actually like eat nutritional yeast that you go, ah, damn, dude, a Cheez-It, like that main flavor profile is just nutritional yeast. Like that cheddar is not adding anything to it. Like, and I remember like another thing, fun fact, like we were testing like a cheese flavor, right?
Yeah.
All right. First off, cheddar is white. Okay. When it is made, it is white. They put annatto seed like to make it orange.
Oh,
right.
okay.
They add coloring to make it orange. That's how it's always been since day one. But we want orange cheese. And so we were testing these out, and it was the exact same chip. But one was the natural version without the annatto color, and one had the annatto, and the one with the orange like color to it, leaps and bounds.
Wow!
It leaps, even though it was the exact same flavor, like nothing had changed, the exact same percentage of seasoning. Like we had done this as a direct like blind taste test. Like
that's incredible.
If anything, the yellow one actually had a slightly less percentage of cheese because they had more of that annatto seasoning. You know what I mean? To make it yellow. So the white one would have actually been more of a cheesier flavor, like a better cheese. But no, dude, they were like, oh no, with this yellow one, that just hits.
Damn. So
like it was the color,
it's like a neurological connection to your memory of what a goldfish tastes like, and that color.
That color is orange now, and so now I want that orange because that's what cheese should be to me.
Right.
Like, it's like really bringing it back. I mean, we talk like with packaging too. I mean, every like cooling, like if it's ranch or salt and vinegar, it's blue.
That's right.
Everything. If it's barbecue, it's red. Like
that's so funny.
Every barbecue flavor has red to it. Like every barbecue is red. Even though like, a barbecue sauce is more like on the brown color, right? Like,
right.
And so we always find like, there's like these certain colors that like signify and like when you release a cheese flavor, there's always going to be orange and yellow. Always. No matter what. Even if it's like white cheddar, they're still going to have orange like accents and stuff in the packaging. It's pretty bizarre.
So speaking of packaging and distribution and stuff, obviously a lot of brands these days, especially startup food companies, they'll end up figuring out some way to go direct to consumer. And I'm curious, because you've had such a success with using distributors, do you have plans, or are you now like emphasizing that part of like, for instance, us, like, of course we could go to Yes, but we'd also love to just have recurring orders for our offices to always just like keep them stocked, or I'm sure just people at home wanting to have, like, instead of going to the store, always have Snacklins in their drawer.
Yeah, so I think we have like, obviously we have like, the Shopifys, and you can buy on Amazon, all that stuff, and so you can get like a recurring order that way.
Yeah,
I think what's pretty cool now, which there's a lot of companies out there that offer for, granted you have to have like a company, so like for you, because you're a company, right, you could like you could get a wholesale account with them, and then they would like wholesale you Snacklins, have them delivered to your place, like not on a truck, but just like a direct FedEx shipment, and they can do that. We just found that, I mean, when it comes down to it, I think direct consumer is how you find people, right? We were lucky because, I mean, even then we didn't really have anyone outside of the DC area that ate us, right? We were in DC and New York. That was it. The second you left New York metropolitan, DC metropolitan area, you went to the suburbs, no one knew who you were.
Yeah.
Midwest, West Coast, no idea whatsoever. And so that D2C helped us so we could expand. But I think people need to look at it as, it's not really, like for a chip company, it's not what you're going to do. People do not buy chips online.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they don't. Yeah. Like, we still go to a store. You still go like to a bodega. You still go to a 7-Eleven. You're buying a bag of chips. That's how it is. And so I think for us, we would use that, and we actually, use it in our our benefit. So
Right.
I could sit there and all of a sudden go to a chain in, Texas and say,
Yeah.
hey, look I'm selling all this product to people in Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. We ran the demographic information.
Okay.
These people shop at your grocery store. So that's money that you're leaving on the table.
Right.
Like, you should be selling this product too, because to be honest, I feel like, and this is just food in general, and I think most people will back this up in food, but
Yeah.
other companies or whatever, but like food specifically, you can get yourself to a certain point, probably like 1/10 of the way there D2C, but that last 90%, it's retail. It's brick and mortar. I mean, you have to be in your stores. I mean, unfortunately, like, you can sell so much, but I mean, if you're in 3,000, stores a day, and even if every store is only selling one product a day, that's still more money than you're making
Right.
on your website all day
Right.
long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think understanding that and just, knowing how the shopping habits are. I mean, people forget that we're young and hip, but like the most dynamic, consumer base, and the consumer base that's spending the most right now, and the one that you really want to focus on, are women between the ages of like 60 and 68, because this is the first generation that really, like, you have full-blown career women, right? They've got their own money because they were all kicking ass back in the day, right? They're still young and hip because they've been taking care of their bodies. They probably have grandchildren, or they have a daughter or something like that, or a kid that's keeping them in that way. And so we've actually found that, like, a lot of our discovery is coming from, the mom who was recently retired and now has that expendable income, wants to take care of her body. She wants to get the new hip stuff. She can go to the grocery store. She can take her time, reading the back of the labels, and really looks at everything. Like, she's the one that's buying it. And then her daughter or her son or her grandkids or her, like, younger coworkers, then they're picking up the product because they learned it from them. And I think that's kind of what people, like, breaks our heart, because we're supposed to be young and hip, but really, like, the 60-year-olds, man, they are the trendsetters now, like, straight up. And I think they have the largest, like, monetary, like, influence out there when it comes down to, I mean, my mom, right? Like, she's probably in that age group. I mean, she spoils her grandkid more than anybody else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's who I want buying Snacklins.
Yeah. They have influence. They stock the pantry.
Yep.
I think I heard a phrase recently. It was coined called grandfluencers.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've never heard that before, but that's genius. Like, that is genius. Yeah, it's the truth. I mean, it is the truth, because and we talk to these people, and I go, holy crap! Like, compared to the average, like, person my age that I speak to, that unfortunately they're busy with their career. They've got, their social life, maybe their family. They've got to run around doing this. Plus, they're trying to, like, oh, I'm trying to find a house. I'm trying to pay all this car. Like, you talk to someone who's older, all that shit's already been done, and so they literally spend all day long like, oh yeah, well, I read about this product and I want to learn more about paleo, so I read about paleo all day. It's like, wow, you are much more informed of a purchaser than a customer than the average customer. That's why, you're finding these products, why you're finding these niche ideas before the average consumer does.
Nice.
So,
Super cool.
Yeah, give it up. Shout out to the moms out there. My mom, what up?
That's amazing. And so, just fast forwarding, like, looking to the future, something that comes to mind for me is the Oatly Super Bowl commercial that dropped a couple years ago. It still, like, sticks in my mind because it was so, like, it was the antithesis of what not to do when you get a Super Bowl ad, but it was effective for that reason. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on marketing, and then also just, like, the direction you plan on taking the company. Are you looking for potential exit, or are you going to grow with the company? What are your plans?
Yeah, I think with marketing, like, I think the thing with marketing, it's the same thing that I have about starting a product. If you're not different, right? If you're if you're like saying this worked with Oatly, we should do it. Like, no, you've already missed your chance. Oatly already did it.
Right.
Like, and I feel like that's the big miss that a lot of people have, that I'm constantly in these meetings talking to people, like, with, like, younger people, and being like, hey, like, oh yeah, well, we were going to take the Halo Top approach because they did. I was like, well, I hate to break it to you, Halo Top already took that approach.
Right.
They've already made their money. You're kind of, like, left. Like, you can't do that, like, as much as I would love to release an Elvis Presley song, I'm pretty sure Elvis already did that shit, decades ago. So I'm not going to get famous now, doing that same shtick over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And so I find that to be, like, the hardest part about marketing. But, really, we've kind of separated I think Snacklands into 3 fundamental aspects of the company.
Mm-hmm.
One group makes product. One group gets product on the shelf. The other group gets product off the shelf. Right?
Love it.
And so, like, I'm on the make product side. That's our production facilities, our production team, our ops team. You know, you have the sales team. They're getting the product on the shelf, getting up there, making sure the right promos are online. And then, like, you know, the marketing team really is focusing on, you know, like, getting that product off the shelf. And I feel like the best ROI or, like, return on investment for most of that stuff is, especially for food, is not some flashy, like, Facebook ad, not some, like, cool influencer campaign, not some celebrity that you paid to, like, you know, eat your product while they were, you know, taking a shower. Like, no, it's, if you're going to spend that $5,000 and you want to know how much money you're going to get back from that $5,000 influencer campaign, I guarantee you if you went out and you just gave out $5,000 of free product in an area in which people could immediately turn around and purchase your product, right? So, like, not at some festival 3,000 miles away from your nearest store, but, like, you know, at a Whole Foods doing demos, giving out samples, like, you will sell a crap ton more. You'll get a much better ROI on that than anything else. And I feel like that's a thing that,
love it.
You know, we forget about that in marketing a lot, and especially with food. It's like, no, man, it still has to taste good. The number one thing people want with food, oddly enough, is it tastes good, you know? And so you got to get it in their mouths so they can taste it. And once they say, this tastes good, all right.
Yeah.
Now you have a better chance of getting them there, you know?
Yeah.
Flashy ads, that works. But, I mean, I feel like I share a lot of ads and I never buy those products. You know?
Fair enough.
So
fair enough.
I like the ads a lot, but it's just like, oh, man. But, like, I feel like you could have just spent that $1 million and given me, you know, one sample. And I've been like, oh, I love this Oatly. I'll buy this again, you know?
Yeah, no, and I love that you're focused on product. And it reminds me of a quote. I don't know where it came from, but it was just sort of a breakdown of someone, like, critiquing another person's business. And it was like, you're doing sales because your marketing sucks. You're doing marketing because your product sucks. So do more product.
Yeah. I think a lot of people forget it's product. I mean, like, I think a lot of people just focus on this. I mean, we like to brag all the time that out of all the Union Kitchen brands, like, we had the lowest social media, you know, numbers out of anybody, right? And we're still the ones cranking away because but we focus on the right thing, you know? And I think, and I guess here that kind of goes to your next question too. And I think because we focus so intently on the product itself, it's given us more of an opportunity to actually make this into something that, you know, a larger company would want to acquire or, you know, merge with or something like that in the long run, because we're not just a brand. Right. Brands, like, there's a million iced tea brands, which is why Coca-Cola is, like, dissolving Honest Tea after paying so much money for it. You know what I mean?
Are they really? I didn't know that.
It's such brutal news.
What?
Yeah, I know. So, like, because that's a brand. They go, well, we already have the tea, so we can, we can do this other ways, right? And so I feel like, you have to create something more than just that.
Yeah.
And so what we've created is, we've created this technology. We've created this, this manufacturing process that no one else is doing. So when you get Snacklands, you're not just getting the brand, because any company can sit there and throw $1 million in marketing. Here you go. Here's a bunch of commercials, a bunch of that. They can do. That's what they do. Like, that's what the big boys do, right?
Yeah.
But what they can't do is they can't create products. They can't innovate. They can't be as nimble as I can. And so as long as I can be that nimble and I can keep on moving, making changes, and making this the best product ever, at some point they'll come to you and they're going to be like, okay, yes, we like the brand, but also we like your infrastructure.
Right.
We like your technology. We like your supply chain. Like, you wanted to buy it for a lot more than just that brand. And I think we've kind of focused on that. You know? A lot of people don't focus on making food in the food industry, which is weird.
Ironic. It's all like
it's all marketing.
Stockbrokers.
Yeah, it's all just marketing. Stuff.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So are you making sort of a product roadmap beyond flavors, or is it an expansion of flavors and then new stuff down the line, or what are you thinking right now?
I think Snacklands is a great name. So obviously I think it just lends itself to a bunch of other products, but I'm also pretty realistic that, like, back to me staying focused and kind of staying in my lane. Yeah. I could go outside right now, and if I yelled at 5 random people in the street, like, hey, do you know Snacklands? They probably, like, no one would say yes. You know what I mean? Like, even though we're in a bunch of stores, even though I feel like we're doing very well for ourselves, like, we still haven't even, like, scratch the surface of what the American market is.
Right.
You know, and so we have so much room left just for like that original Snacklins.
Yeah.
That I think that we're gonna like, I can focus on that. But yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like I'm always working on ideas in my lab, so that way when that time comes, though, I can be like, okay,
time to turn on.
Here's this aspect. Here's another thing we've been working on. Here's this. But I mean, yeah, this is me and my ops guy. We just go back and we send each other weird ideas all the time, and we just keep like add it to the list, buddy.
Yeah.
Add it to the list of future ideas. So.
I love that mentality that you're just setting this foundation.
Yeah.
Of like you got to have a killer product that checks all the boxes and scales nicely, and then you can graduate to branching off.
You don't want to like, you don't want to like. We look at these companies that go, well, we're selling these meals, so we're doing burritos and pizzas and chicken nuggets. I go, oh my God, that's like 78 different pieces of machinery you need just for those. Like, how are you gonna like, and all the different supply chain stuff, all the different ingredients, like you're making your life so much more difficult than what it needs to be. Like, all right, let's focus on this one product.
Yeah.
All right, how can you do this the best? What variations can you do without like changing too much? Like a Snacklin is a Snacklin. It's that same base no matter what. It's the seasoning on top, right? So we took that potato chip theory. Just here's a potato chip, here's a bunch of different seasonings for it, as opposed to trying to change them and trying to do all these other aspects. I mean, like, you already are making your life difficult enough because you stupidly decided to become an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like, why make it more difficult on top of that?
Yeah, I love Kind Bar, but I was in the grocery store the other day and I saw I think it was like a $13 cereal version of Kind Bar.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
yeah,
I don't know, guys.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
I don't know if I'm gonna buy this $13 box of cereal.
There's a huge market. There's a huge market of just paying like cereal. That was like their big thing that they came out with like a couple years ago. That they go, hey, people think we're just cheap, filled with sugar. What if we actually put all this healthy stuff in it? And yeah, we're gonna have to charge you $13 for a box of cereal. And they're like, let's do it, y'all. I mean,
right, power to 'em.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, but there's an audience. I think that there is, like we joke, like there's an audience that if I wanted to, we could sell a Snacklin that pure avocado oil, the most exquisite ingredients, fresh truffles on top, right?
Right.
And there's an audience that'll pay that. Will pay, $9 for a bag of chips.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that's not, the average consumer.
Yeah.
And so kind of figuring out where we want to stand. And I think part of our mentality is like we have an opportunity to make healthy snacks like approachable and like and affordable.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, it was either like I felt like I had a choice between either spend half my paycheck on this organic stuff, or I can just buy this junk food and then I can go party. You know what I mean? Like, and like, what if I could buy the good stuff and still go party at the same time? Like, how can you
I think you make a great point, right? Because you don't need to be artisanal or something, but you're at the foundational level looking at what's the calories, like that's important. People understand that. And then are there 20 ingredients that I don't know how to pronounce on the back? So you're checking those two very important boxes, like understandable, simple ingredient, and then we're just talking about macros. This is just the number of calories. So those two things go a long way.
Keep it simple, stupid. That's what they say, right? KISS. So
yeah, amazing. Well, Sammy, anything else you want to talk about? I mean, this has been amazing. I don't even know how long we've been recording for. I don't know, Adam. Hour 15.
Sweet. That's a good time to do because
just old buddies catching up. That's why, man.
Yeah,
That's why.
man.
So.
Oh, just to reminisce on that one once more. And also, I really appreciated that you always like encouraged me to like be a character in the show, and you would like refer like Ryder, my videographer is here. That was fun. I appreciate
thank you,
it.
man.
And also, I wanted to say that I don't know if you remember this, but for producing that show, which meant you had to come up with the idea, we had to like, coordinate and pre-produce with the chefs, go and produce it. Me coming up with the camera equipment to film it, spend like a full night usually filming, and then another day editing, and then you did the graphics, sent me the graphics, I sent it to the station, and we were paid $150 to split.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so good, dude. It was so good. I remember like I told you like they go, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, dude.
$75.
$75, but we were living the life, man.
Yeah,
it was so worth it.
Oh man, and I remember going to I think it was like the like haunted forest thing.
Yeah,
You remember that?
yeah. Oh my, I hate those things, dude. They still scare the crap out of me to this day.
Me too.
Because they always mess with you. The second you have a camera, they mess with you even harder. And they got me good. But
that was amazing.
Well, anyways,
They
dude,
did.
congratulations on everything,
Yes.
man. I'm so proud of you. I'm glad,
Likewise.
it's pretty awesome when you get older and you get to connect with people and be like,
Yeah.
dude, we're still crushing it. All right. We haven't given up on our dreams yet, man. We're still doing it. So, yeah.
Still doing it. Boom.
Boom.
Thank you, Sammy.
Always, man.
This is great.